Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly movie minute. This week, a review of Longlegs, a film that is not about spiders. Yes, I thought this movie was Sting, the horror flick that came out in April about a spider that continuously gets larger and larger. I saw the trailer for Sting. I thought I had seen the trailer for Longlegs, but I guess not, and was very surprised in the theater when I realized this movie was not about a giant spider, but was instead about the devil. Ooh. Yes, Longlegs is a serial killer detective thriller with supernatural elements that more or less boil down to it was the devil all along. I'll try not to get too spoilery in this one, but there are a lot of unexplained things that happen in Longlegs, and the general conceit at the end of the film is just underworld powers. And this is my main gripe with Longlegs. The film isn't bad, but it does suffer from a script that doesn't always know where it's going. The tone and cinematography are really good. The movie opens with a creepy snow-laden scene shot in a 4.3 aspect ratio with rounded edges to give it this vintage 70s look before the black bars slowly pan out into a more traditional widescreen aspect ratio that the remainder of the film will be shot in. The 4.3 aspect ratio in film trend is becoming a little overdone for my taste. It was neat and well utilized in a film like First Reformed, where the entire film hinges on a man's narrow viewpoint of the world and that viewpoint gradually expanding. But it started to feel contrite when Zack Snyder used it for his 4-hour long, overindulgent Justice League cut. The biggest film recently to use this aspect ratio was Saltburn, and while some of the interior scenes benefited from this narrow peeping eye, it made the exterior shots of this glorious, lush mansion feel small in scope. But Longlegs used this aspect ratio wisely and sparingly. It's only used to convey a specific time period and moments that happened earlier in Lee Harker, the main character's life. There are some truly remarkable lighting and color grading techniques that I want to point out which significantly add to the aesthetic of Longlegs, and it's one of the best aspects of the film. The exteriors are all shot in cool tones, adding to this creepy Pacific Northwest vibe that's been a mainstay of mystery since Twin Peaks. Even some of the interior shots mimic Twin Peaks, with log cabin walls and small suburban houses. But most of the interior shots all show a warm, glowing tone coming through any exterior window. It's jarring when you follow a character from a cold, dark, bluish-hued outside to then see them standing in a room with orange waves glowing through the windows. It's a direct visual motif that's meant to mess with the viewer's head. Inside, it's dark and cold and drab. But if we could just get outside, we'd be in the sun, in the light. But as soon as we get there, we're hit again with the cold blue tones. There's no escape for Lee or for us. There are sinister forces at work, and they are following Lee everywhere. If you've seen any marketing for Longlegs, you may assume that Nicolas Cage is the main character. He is not. Cage takes up only around 10 minutes of the screen time in the entire film, but he is loud and boisterous in every scene he's in. Micah Monroe plays Lee Harker, an FBI agent with a sixth sense for solving cases, and she is the one that gets top billing in Longlegs. She unwittingly finds herself taking the lead on a decades-long case of a serial killer by the name of Longlegs. The problem is, Longlegs hasn't actually killed anyone. Every killing he's connected to has been a series of bizarre family murder-suicide, where one patriarchal member ostensibly goes nuts and murders their entire family before taking themselves out. The only correlation between these bizarre events is that the birth date of whichever child is killed always falls on the 14th of any given month, and a zodiac-type coded letter is left behind at each home, always signed by Longlegs. Micah Monroe does an excellent job in this role, playing a detective that's a little shy, a little unsure of herself, and a little socially awkward. She has a strained relationship with her mother, played by Alicia Witt, which is explored deeper later on in the film. Nick Cage plays the titular Longlegs, and his performance is something. Look, Nick Cage is a good actor, a great one even when he wants to be. Cage has mastered comedy in flicks like Raising Arizona and rightfully won an Oscar for his portrayal of a suicidal drunk in Leaving Las Vegas. Later in his career, though, he's leaned farther into these boisterous, campy performances. He still makes good flicks, and he's still a good actor. In Dream Scenario, Cage gives a spectacular performance as an ordinary dude caught up in an extraordinary situation, which is the opposite scenario of his many recent films. Nicolas Cage is often playing some weird, loud, crazy character that feels just a bit off in the normal world he finds himself in. That's the case here in Longlegs, just cranked up to 11. Cage is wearing so much makeup and prosthetics that he ends up looking like some weird mixture of Captain Spaulding and Rocky Dennis from Mask. It's off-putting at best and disgusting at worst. But it's a horror movie, so that's kind of the point. The scariest film of the decade, if the hype is to be believed. But Longlegs, all in all, isn't that scary. It's kind of caught in between genres and never exactly succeeds at any of them. At points, it is a detective procedural. At others, it's a serial killer thriller, and in parts, it's a supernatural horror flick. But Longlegs never commits to any of these genres long enough to result in a satisfying payoff. As soon as the mystery of the killer starts to unravel, the movie makes a sharp right turn towards the supernatural, so it doesn't really matter what the mystery was. There's nothing to prove, nothing to find, nothing to figure out, nothing to solve. And again, this leads me back to my major complaint with Longlegs. That's the script. The dialogue and character development is great. The story moves along at a meaningful pace, never overstays its welcome, and even smaller characters like Kiernan Shipka as Carrie Ann are compelling and add to the narrative. But after an hour and 30 minutes of the film's hour and 41-minute runtime, rather than give us a meaningful payoff, some crucial piece of evidence that ties the whole film together, we're given a long flashback exposition dump that boils down to little more than it was all the devil. Look, I love a good devil movie, and it's unfair to compare this movie to the greats like The Exorcist, Hereditary, or even Silence of the Lambs, a film that is so clearly trying to emulate. Longlegs' script just can't compete with that kind of cinema mastery. It's a fun film, one I recommend seeing at least once, but probably doesn't demand multiple viewings and won't become a horror classic. I think this film is a 6 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And if you want more film analysis, please check out our longer monthly podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.